Let's see if this will work.
There you got it.
There we go. So we can go ahead and start our introductions real quick.
All right. Well, good evening. My name is Daniel Cottle. I currently work at the Blue Valley USD 384. That's in Randolph, Kansas, really tiny town, about 20 minutes north of the Manhattan area. I teach the high school business and finance classes, as well as the middle school keyboarding and kind of basic documents type of classes. What else should I say here? I am starting my third school year now with Blue Valley. It's a very great little school, very small school. One of those you can look down the hallway and basically see everybody that's there that day. So very tight knit community, very supportive community in the local area. Obviously, a lot of agricultural influence, but there's also a lot of opportunity for some other areas like the business and the technology and things like that. So all in all, I've been really happy with what I've got there so far.
Good. I'm Kobe Dixon. I am my second year with the transition to teaching program and doing the AEP classes, the master's classes on top of that. So second year of teaching this year, I'm at Newton, USD 373. It's about 25 minutes north of Wichita, a little bit there. I teach computer applications at the middle school. That's the only subject I teach. I teach 6 classes of that, I believe. So all day long, get to teach that. This year we moved to block schedule. So last year I taught 6 classes every day. This year I'm only teaching about 3 a day, longer class periods. I seem to like that one a little bit better. I think the kids, even though they won't admit that they like the longer class period, I think we are able to get through a lot more and not have to worry about kids forgetting things from the next class period because we can only get so much in a 45-minute class period before. So this year it seems to be going a lot better. I really like it. Maybe looking to get into like a high school position here in the future, but we'll see. So see if something opens up. But again, I'm at Newton and I really enjoy teaching computer apps.
All right, my name is Jeremy Hansford. I am in my second year of the transition teaching program. Third year at the school, actually, because my first year was as a para. I am at the Chase County Junior Senior High School. That's USD 284. We are about 20 miles west of Emporia, Kansas, for point of reference. Barely a 2A school. The classes I teach are typically going to be your high school business classes, so entrepreneurship, essentials, econ, accounting. I always forget accounting for some reason, as well as 2 sections of middle school computers. So it's every hour is a shift, but sort of like a combination. Our school jumped to a non-traditional schedule where we do normal schedules Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. We do block scheduling on Wednesday, Thursday. So the kids are going, what day is it and where am I going? So it's a bit of a shift for us also.
Okay, well, I'm Jelena Džohadarević. I teach at the Liberal High School. Our high school is pretty big, like 5A. We just had the biggest freshman class, over 300 students that just came to the school. I teach business essentials, computer apps, and the sports and entertainment marketing. My classes are pretty big. My sports and entertainment is like probably the biggest class that I have. I have over 26 students in each class, so it is busy. We are using flex mode, so students are kind of picking and choosing their schedule. We do have overlaps, which is kind of an issue because students show up like in the middle of the class. Some of them they leave, so it is kind of hard to keep up with like while teaching or doing the work. But I guess the system is good. I just don't think our students are ready for it right now.
Okay, so it's nice to meet everyone. So our topic was to pick a technology that you find useful in your classroom that you can kind of share with the rest of the group. So hopefully everyone did that. Daniel, you said you want to go ahead and start us off?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Let me go back to my notes here real quick. The technology that I chose, and the main reason I chose it is because it's exactly what our school is integrating as we speak this year. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. It's called Promethean boards. And that's kind of, I had never heard of it until last year. And the shortest, simplest way to describe it is a very, very useful interactive touchscreen that is about the size of probably a 40 to, no, I'd say close to like a 60 to 70 inch monitor. And again, it has all these wonderful features. It is touchscreen capable. There's multiple apps that are associated with it. It also functions as like a traditional monitor, so a teacher could also hook up their laptop or desktop to it and use it as a extension or a traditional projector for it for whatever they need to show. But again, it offers so many neat features: video streaming, VR, photo editing, anything like that, all with the touchscreen functionality. So obviously that's going to appeal to a lot of the current generation, because let's just be honest, in our school we have a rule that they can't use the phones once they enter the classroom. And of course, as soon as the class is over, the instant they get to the doorway, out pops their phones, because they are just so technology obsessed. So anything that's a better technology, I think it's going to be a great thing for for the current gen. And I'm talking anybody from kindergarten all the way through high school. We had a Promethean representative, for lack of a better word, came to our school last year to kind of introduce the basics of this of these devices. And it went over very well. I mean, like I said, there's just our first year not every classroom even has them at this point, but the ones that do have them, I've been speaking to them, and it's gone over tremendously well. Just all the great things that that can be brought by using them. And again, everything, there's things that you can do on here from kindergarten level all the way through advanced high school level stuff. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually have one in my classroom yet, but I'm looking forward to it, because as I pointed out here in the notes, and I'll just say it here, there's so many things that would be applicable for me, especially with like the finance and the business type courses, because we haven't got to it yet, but especially when we get to like the especially when we get to like bank financing, any kind of loans or major financial transactions, especially when you are explaining all the different parts of a contract when you're buying a car or getting a mortgage on a home, anything like that, going through all the different numbers, like what's a good deal, what's not a good deal. And I know this Promethean board would be the great thing about it with the touch screen. You could just literally, okay guys, let's change this number to this and see what happens. Because as it is right now, unfortunately, all I have is a projector. So I kind of have to do it the old school way, where I have to change what is on my computer, and then it's shown on a little projector that they're able to see it, but it's not interactive. It's not seamless and very quick in that sense. And it's not nearly as modern. So that's what I love about this particular technology that I think would be beneficial. So if anybody has a question or comment, I mean, just fire away. Don't be shy about interrupting me here.
Quick question for you then.
Of course.
This is a technology actually being implemented in your school. So you're talking about that is the technology what's drawing the students' interest, or is it a new way the technology is being used that actually transcends the education piece that brings them into the content more?
Oh, that's an outstanding question. I honestly think it's the latter. I mean, yeah, to an extent, I think they're kind of wowed by the technology part of it, but I think to me it's the actual interaction, because for one example, they showed the Promethean representative. She was showing how for kind of the younger classes they were doing some artistic work, making some basic drawings and editing photos, things like that, and just how easy it was to do anything you kind of wanted to, and then if you did something wrong, to just kind of edit it and go back, and you could really have a lot of fun with it. And I think so to an extent, I think there's a wow factor with the tech, with it being new technology, but I also think for the most part, they get the actual usefulness of it, because again, like I said with some of my classes, it can be very frustrating when I'm trying to explain something with financial terms, and there's a little bit of a delay between, okay, let's go back and do it this way. Whereas if I had access to these devices, it would be just like that, just like that, just like that. Let's change this, and look how quickly everything is different. That would just be, to me, that would just be so much better. And I think it benefits. It just benefits so much. So again, I think there's definitely a wow factor, but I think more often than not, they're more appealed to what it actually brings to the table.
Okay.
So this is, sorry. So this is just replacing the whiteboards, right? This is just for the teachers that we can use, and then.
Not necessarily replacing the whiteboards. There are still the whiteboards in the rooms where these devices are. Sometimes they're kind of hung over the whiteboards, basically. But and now, having said that, I don't know how much whiteboard use is going, as time goes on, I don't know how much whiteboard use there's going to be, because again, as we learn more and more about these things, it might get to the point where we're just kind of strictly using these for almost everything, from quick announcements to everything that the course entails. But no, the whiteboards are not completely gone from the room per se.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you said that you guys started implementing, only a few classrooms got some of these. Are they
Correct.
planning on just doing a little bit at a time every year? Or are they planning on going
I
a bunch?
I think the plan is just a little bit at a time. I think there's budget reasons for that, but I think it's also to just kind of get, because there was some extra training that a few teachers had to kind of get them more familiar with it, so to speak. And also simply because there were actually some teachers that for whatever reason, they actually said they did not, at least not yet, they did not want to use these for whatever their reasons may be for that. But I think the end goal is to eventually have all of these in all the classrooms, which again, we're a small school, so that's only a few more devices at this point anyway. So that shouldn't be too much of a time frame getting that done.
Do the students have a chance to interact with the boards, or is it just the teachers?
Nope, definitely student interaction. And again, that's another great thing about it. Again, you could be whatever the teacher wants to show. They could start something off, and they could call a student up and say, hey, here, try this, change this, whatever. Of course, depends on what kind of feature or app we're talking about. But yes, definitely a lot of student teacher can both interact with this device. So that's another one of the great tools about it.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
I don't have any more questions. That's good. I'm glad you guys are getting some more technology in there. That's obviously going to be helpful for those that do want it, at least. So that's good. All right. If you're done, then I'll go ahead and.
That's pretty much all I had.
Okay, perfect. So my technology that I'm bringing in or talking about, it's called GIM kits. It's kind of a review activity resource you could use. I actually learned about it this year. My students from my seminar came in, they're like, hey, Mr. Dixon, can you get on to GIM kits and let us play? And I was like, I have no idea what that is. I was like, what is this? And so I got on and started looking at it. And one of our math teachers in the building actually uses this on a weekly basis to review material. So they have a bunch of different options to kind of add gamification into the classroom. The kids don't even realize that they're really learning because they're getting to play these little games. And I'm actually going to share my screen. I figured the best way to explain it is to show you guys a little bit of it, because I thought it was a pretty cool resource. And make sure that, are you guys seeing the screen that says GimKit on it? Perfect. Okay, so this is the screen that when you get logged in, this is what it kind of looks like. I went ahead and actually today created a review because I plan on using it next week, hopefully to try it out, because I heard about it just last week or the week before, and started playing around with it and asking some questions. So like I said, it's a gamification resource to allow students to review their content through multiple choice or short answer response type questions. And it's just an interactive game. So you can see right here, you can play live with the whole class, able to see the board, and they have their own devices to play on as well. We have a 1-to-1 ratio for Chromebooks for the students. So they're able to use their own device while looking at the board up front. And I can host the game, or I can assign it as a homework, and they can play against computers. And so they can kind of get to do it in class and then also at home if they want to try to review some of the content. So I'm just going to go ahead, and so I created an email etiquette for one of the units that we're in right now. So we're talking about our email etiquette, different rules, and the different parts of the email. So if I press play live, you get a screen that looks like this, and there's plenty of different options. So there's a fishing type game for the students to play, and these little colored characters are their characters that they end up whenever they get logged in. So you can pick from several different types of games. You have Fishtopia, Trust No One. I've never played that one yet. The classic mode, which is kind of like a Kahoot mode, where you respond to questions, just trivia questions, and then a teams mode. And then I know if you use some of the, it's called the GimKit Pro exclusive package. If you pay for it, you get some of these other games that are more common. So the math teacher actually pays for this subscription, and I'm going to talk about the prices in a little bit. And that allows you to play more games like Capture the Flag, a tag domination game, The Floor is Lava, Humans versus Zombies. So all these different types of interactive and fun games for the students to get to play. It looks like there's a couple other things on here too. I haven't explored too much of it, but so I was going to show you the classic mode just to show you kind of what it looks like a little bit, because that is one of the free options. So you can go ahead and go in and you can set up what the goal is for the class. You already have all of your questions put in for them for that specific topic. So you can put that you have a time limit for the game. You can put it for 10 minutes. You can move it up to however much you want. Maybe you want to only allow 5 minutes of the game to play, just to let them review a little bit. Maybe you want to do 20 minutes to give them a full time to play. You can have them answer so many questions and earn money. So you can have them set the money amount of how much they earn for each question and how many questions they have to get right. Or then there's the all-in, which is when everyone in the game gets a certain amount. So you can set it all up however you kind of want. So you might say, I think it's $1 per question. So 250,000 is a lot of dollars a lot of questions to answer. So you might want to change that. So if I think I have, let's say I think I have like 12 questions in there. So maybe I want them to answer them 3 or 4 times each. So let's say 3 times. So they're going to get $36 what they need to get to. That's just going to be 36 questions correct that they have to get to. And I might give them a starting amount of 5. And I'll explain that when I get into there. But you can change some of the power-ups in the game. And that's just some of the different interacting things that they have in the game to allow them to play. There's certain power-ups that can hurt players. If you don't want students to gang up on each other a little bit, you can shut that mode off. So then that way there's no hurtful power-ups. So if you need to, or if you have students that put inappropriate nicknames, you might want to put the nickname generator so they don't do that as well. So you can turn that on. You can also allow students to join in late whenever they want, or you can turn that off. You guys continue. It goes to this little game screen that looks something similar to this. And it's probably not going to let me do this. Do one of you by chance want to try to get in real quick? I think it won't let me start the game unless I have at least a player in there. So maybe you guys can get in and kind of experience the game a little bit yourselves, I guess. So once you guys get in, it'll allow us to, it kind of looks like a Kahoot screen a little bit. So the students would just go to that website and they enter the code to get logged in. And it tells you your goal down here at the bottom of the first player to earn $36 wins. That's equivalent to answering every question 3 times at least, just to kind of get the repetition in with the questions, so you can make sure they kind of are learning some of it. And I will go ahead.
So the games are based on the subject, right?
Yes. So the questions that you give, you can set it up with flashcards that you already have pre-made, or like if you have a sheet that has all the questions, all the answers, you can do that, or you can manually put in the questions. And then it will ask them questions to kind of be able to move around and actually play the game. They have to answer so many questions. And they can only, sometimes on some of the games, like I know I played capture flag with the kids, after they move and use too much energy, if they don't have enough questions answered, it's going to require them to answer more questions to continue moving on the map. So it kind of makes it a little challenging for them to continuously go back to each of the questions. So we'll start the game real quick. Turn that down. Okay, so from my end, see, I have not used this mode yet, so this is interesting. So I assume you guys are getting some screens that are allowing you to answer some questions. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Yes.
So it's asking you to answer some questions. As you get them right or wrong, I assume that's what these little numbers are here, the lines are for. And it's still telling you that red plant is in the front. So I guess we're really challenging your guys' knowledge on email etiquette a little bit here. If you guys actually getting the questions right or wrong.
So what do we do with money that we get?
The money is just how you're earning points, I guess. It depends on what game you kind of set up. So the capture the flag one, you would earn points to move around. Like I was saying earlier, you have to earn so much dollars to move around to get energy. You have to go buy energy and then try to travel across the map a little bit. So it's kind of challenging, and so you have to kind of take your time to explain each game to the kids and kind of explore around it yourself a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to end it so I can hear a little bit, so I can hear the music. Okay, there's the music off. That helps. Okay. So it, like I said, it kind of changes depending on what game you go on. I've actually never clicked the classic mode. I figured that was just the easy one to show, but obviously I should have done a little more homework on that one. So I'm gonna end the game for you guys. Doesn't seem like anyone's gotten to the $36 yet. Is anyone close by chance?
So I just played
Yeah,
one.
that's
Oh, yeah, it seems like someone did.
Me.
So that would be the race mode of like how to get to see how many questions they can answer as quick as possible and see who will win. Kind of like a Kahoot version of the game a little bit. So that's the classic mode, and it gives you an option to review the report as well. So tell you how many questions maybe they all got right or wrong. Not to expose anyone on this right now, but they still had to do it the smart way. They only answered one, and then they called it quits.
In my defense, I was not there to
struggling.
watch the lesson. And the question I missed was how many subjects were taught in the lesson today?
Right,
Oh.
me
So
too.
without being there, I couldn't answer that question.
That is true. So no worries. So that's a good way, I guess, to get kids involved is the biggest thing. It kind of adds a little bit of a fun learning environment for the students. That's the biggest thing. There is a free mode that allows you to play this version of the game like we just did. And there's a couple, like the fishing one was on there, that's free. And then there's like a competitive team one. But if you pay for the membership, it's actually not as expensive as I thought it would have been. If you pay for the pro exclusive annual membership, if you paid a month or annual basis, it's only $60 for the year. But if you pay monthly, you can pay $9.99 a month. So you almost pay double if you pay by the month, or you save half the money if you just pay the annual membership. Or your school district can purchase access to this for all the teachers for $1,000. Or your school district can purchase for only like 20 teachers to have access, and that's going to be about $650. So I think generally looking at the numbers, I haven't broken them down or anything. I don't think it's too unreasonable of cost. I mean, it seems like it's a good amount, but it also gives you a free demo version of the pro mode. So for about 2 weeks, you can actually play all those games like Capture the Flag and stuff. And mine actually runs out tomorrow because of my students getting me logged in, and I'm not realizing I was using a free membership or a free little demo portion of it. But you can at least try those games out a little bit and see if your kids like them or whatnot, and then maybe figure out if it's worth purchasing. So that's the nice part about the little demo. Um, the biggest thing with just gamification is just being able to engage the students. I'll try to hurry up. Wow. Okay. Just engage the students in a fun environment while they're able to review their material in class. So
I do have to say this, the only part that I do not like is that it's money oriented. This is my Serbian background that speaks, is that we are all starting to become money oriented, and that's what I do not like. I mean,
Yeah.
and now even the teaching and learning, it's like, if you answer the question, you are going to receive $30,
Yeah.
and with
Right.
my opinion is you should not be paid to learn, it's just that something that my personal opinion is, but the game is a game. I think it's a good, and it can help in the classroom.
Yeah, no, I understand. There might be options on there to change what you earn. Maybe you don't earn money, maybe you just earn points.
Something
I
like
know the money was important for a specific part of like the capture the flag mode. So I don't know if that's something I need to go in and change. So that's something I'd have to explore a little bit more, but I thought it was at least worth sharing for you guys. I thought it was a fun and engaging little resource that I think students really like using.
Okay.
Have you tried any other gamification access or programs besides the gym kit?
Other than Kahoot, not really. I haven't really used a whole lot of others with my content area. I've heard of other teachers using a couple other ones, but I can't remember them off the top of my head.
One that I used last year was similar to Kahoots, but it was called Blookit, where there's a lot of similar activities. It's completely free. You can assign it as homework, or you can do an interactive activity in the class itself. Kids get a chance to earn blooks, which is different designs and different pieces that go along with it. I don't think it has the team aspect, which I didn't see last year. They may have upgraded it. But it's got multiple different types of games. So you can do competition, you can try and play against the computer, you can actually come together. But one of the things I saw concerning about the online gamification is it almost turns into, like, if you have the 12 questions or whatever, they start memorizing because you're repeating it over and over, and it's not the memorization of this. This isn't like the learning the content. It turns into, okay, this is going to be C, this is going to be B, this is going to be A, because it almost turns into almost too much of a I want to win mindset versus I'm trying to learn and win.
Okay.
That's
That
a
makes
great
sense.
point, actually.
Yeah.
Jeremy, we have 7 minutes left. Do you want to?
Yes, I'm sorry, I will hurry
Yeah.
up. I
If
get
we
sidetracked
end up running
easily.
out of time, just so I can say
Um,
that front real quick. If we run out of time, we can I can end the meeting will end and we can all get back on and it'll reset the timer.
Sure.
So you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
My technology I looked at, I unfortunately don't have it in my school, and I would love to. I was looking in more at VR holographic technology. I was looking at last year, and my first thought was, if I could get a holographic display on my back wall, I know I could interest kids to come to my classroom just to see what I'm going to project behind me. So bringing the technology in the classroom to try and get the actual content. One of the things I thought was really cool was I found a teacher in Texas that was a college teacher, and they integrated remote learning with VR, or virtual reality, and holographic technology, where they've got a board that goes across where they would typically be presenting at in the room that's like up to 12 feet wide. They've got monitors facing them so they can get a 3D picture of the professor who's not actually in the room. They can actually see the classroom, and someone's running an actual one running like basically like a mixer. But you could actually sit there and look, and like if someone talked to you, you could actually turn and walk towards that area, and it looked like you were actually in the classroom going to that person or going towards that person. So you have that more personal activity while you're gone. And as far as technology, I know that teaching is difficult field as it is, but it would be cool, I think, if we could integrate that technology with the school districts, and not to make us lose jobs, but maybe get a really good core section and then maybe teach that to 2 or 3 sections around you for the smaller districts, so they can actually have a better class load. Because I know for 1A, 2A, and sometimes even 3A classes, it's hard to get a full spectrum of classes. But if we partner up with maybe neighboring districts, you might go, okay, from this time, you're going to go into Hansford's business essentials class. And this time you're going to Cottle's accounting class. And this time you're going to go into Kobe's and that way you can diversify your actual content for the schools while still giving a presentation as if you're there, because you get this full holographic image of a person. actually like up in front of the classroom. So I thought that might be a great way to integrate technology.
That sounds incredible.
That sounds so cool. Yes.
On the paperwork, there's actually a link. The EdTech magazine is a story about it, but there's a YouTube video about the professor who does it. And I think it'd be a great way to basically use limited resources for smaller schools. Now, for the larger 5A school, I'm so sorry. I don't know that would be the best thing, because I'm sure you guys can afford to have more, narrow focus. And even Newton, right? It's still a larger district. Randolph, you're right with me though.
Yep.
And it'd be cool to go, hey, we're going to partner up with 3 or 4 districts. That way maybe we'll have foreign language. Now we have French, English, Spanish, Korean, a couple of dialects out of the Chinese, just because now we can hire a teacher who's going to be diversified over multiple districts.
Yeah. I've had similar ideas like that, not exactly like that, but kind of along the lines of, co-oping with other schools in for a common course or curriculum. I think that's amazing.
That was the first part of the technology. I mean, obviously we've got the virtual reality, the headsets, you've got Oculus that Facebook's got out there. Those are cool technologies, because even in the Oculus technology, if you go through the Meta platform, they've got classrooms that's set up so that if people have the headsets, you can actually go to like a virtual office hours. So you could be in a virtual classroom, teacher, student coming in and having a conversation using a whiteboard or media inside the VR area. You can also have attendees watch. So if people are in the class, they could be sitting there and going, "Oh, it's like class now." They're up front talking about it, and I'm watching it at the same time. So I thought those were great ideas. I don't know what the cost function would be for that. I do know that the thing that really caught my eye the biggest was a hologram table. Something that you literally put in the classroom. It's like 6.5, 7 feet wide by 2 feet wide, and it actually projects up. If you're a classic Star Wars fan like I am, sort of as the stuff comes up, like the initial scene for the Death Star, as it spins around, you can actually do stuff like that. My wife's a teacher and she teaches government history. And I would think it'd be cool to be able to see, as you're talking about like Civil War, you actually have the Civil War landscape coming up, and you can see the different activities by the battles coming in, and you get a more basically inclusive activity for it.
Wow.
The last piece of it was actually a suggestion by one of my students, and she was being a smartass, and I think it's okay to say it that way, but I think it was a great idea. She was like, "We need to have sound attenuating headphones that can cancel out the noise from distracting students." And I was looking, I was like, I don't know that exists yet, but I started looking online, and if we used a mixer where it can actually record different tracks of people talking, that might give people the ability to actually turn down the volume of the track they don't want to hear that's distracting, so they can actually focus in on the person that they're trying to learn from. So those were basically in the same area, but those were the ideas. I was like, this would be cool to see in the future or to implement, because I know some of it already exists, like the hologram technology. You can actually buy wall mounted stuff that spins an array behind you on a wall, and it will project out. So you have not quite a 360, but you've got more like a 180 or 120 degree angle of it, so you can actually walk and see different pieces of it. And I think that would be a cool way to bring the experience to the students. Now, obviously in the business world, it's hard to bring the paper or the accounting or whatever. Look, it's 3D, it's paper. But if you took that a step farther, maybe you go, hey, I'll get a 3D camera and I'll go walk through the local plant so we can do a virtual guided tour of this business or that business. So you can actually walk through it, you can look, you can see the stations, you can see how it's set up. So if you're talking business, we could talk more specifically to stuff like, hey, this is how they went through. They need so many employees. This is how they break down who gets put where, and they can see it in action by people being there. So, but I thought that would be a fun, interesting activity or something to bring the students into the actual experience better.
That is so advanced. Like for me, that is so far away, like just thinking about that we are talking about that right now. It's just unbelievable. Back home, teachers are still using like green boards with the chalk, so for me, just listening to this, it's like unbelievable.
I did price a 3D camera to do something like that, and they sell them for $600 or less. And that would, and you could actually map where you're going and walking, so they could do a tour and follow along if you want, or they could do it at their own speed to look around and try and learn from it.
Mhm.
So not a major investment by school standards.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Do we want to try and pause it for a second, Kobe, and then
Yeah.
pick back up and